Hello, welcome back to the Mobile Motorbike Mechanic channel. I'm Steve. Today we're heading off to Tamworth to go and look at a Yamaha R6 2009, I think it is. Customers phoned us up, says that it's got charging issues. So we've got a new stator and a new regulator rectifier, and we're going to go and fit those on the bike. So we'll see you when we get there. Right folks, here we are with the 2009 Yamaha R1. So what we're going to replace today is the stator coil, which is underneath this cover here. So to get to that cover, we're going to have to take this side fairing off, take this crash protection off, and then we can get into that one. And we also need to get the regulator rectifier changed out, which is underneath the tank here. So we're going to have to take the seat off, side panel off here, side panel off this side, lift the tank up, and it's actually inside the airbox on this one. Right, so we've just removed the seat, popped the test meter on the battery, and we're just going to fire the bike up. And as you can see, that bike is running at 11 volts, so definitely not charging. So we know that's not charging. So what we'll do, we'll carry on now with getting the stator out and getting the regulator rectifier replaced. Oh, that doesn't want to come off. There we go. Right, so in order to take the tank off, obviously seat's gone, 2 bolts in the back of the seat, that's easy enough. And then we just got to undo these 2 screws here. Just one that side, one this side, and that releases the side panels. And then, there they go. Pop those in a tray. It's just a question of sliding that forward and releasing it off that little clip there and out of that little clip there. So, trick for new players, don't ever force anything. They all come off nice and easy. Okay, so with obviously the side panel's gone, there's a bolt there, one this side and the one at the front of the tank, little block of wood. And what we'll do is we'll pick the tank up, and then we're just going to balance it in there, obviously being mindful of these connectors, so you don't want to put it on the connectors. So we'll just balance it in there for the time being. This is the airbox, this has to come out, so this is going to have to move, but what I want to do obviously is just show you how to get the tank up first off. And what we can do is we can reposition that block of wood underneath the tank somewhere, wherever it will go nicely. There we go, that's playing ball just lovely there. Right, so now we can get the airbox off. Right, and what holds this airbox together are lots and lots of screws. Oh, bloody hell, these are tight. Oh, why are they so tight? Oh, that one's chewed as well. That's not good. I don't know who's worked on this in the past, but that one's chewed up, that one's chewed up, that one's not looking great. Right, so we've got all the screws out the outside of the airbox. So we lift the airbox lid off, lift up and pull out the air. And in there you will see here's the regulator rectifier. So we've got two bolts that hold the regulator rectifier in, and we've got these two plugs that we need to undo. Now, if you can get your hand in there and undo them, all very good and well, but these tend to be pretty well welded in. So what we can do is we'll take the rest of the airbox off, remove this dividing plate, and then it gives us a lot more access, and it's a lot easier. So what we need to do is, we've got a few Allen bolts to undo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Allen bolts in there. That one's already undone, so that's all too easy. There's a couple of tubes, one on the back here, one on the side here, and then we can get this piece off. Actually, there's no point in doing that. We may as well leave that undone and leave that one undone. Sorry, just talking to myself there, may as well. These are on sort of spring clips. If you notice, they clip in and clip out. Access to these two front bolts. You might just need to unclip them. And then you can get to the rear bolts, you might have to clip them back in again. Right, that should be the airbox ready to come out, which it is, but we've got this tube at the back here that we need to undo, and we've got the same on the side, this side over here, just here where this little hole is. So I'll get a pair of pliers, undo the clips. Yeah, I ain't gonna undo with my fingers. There, that's got it. And we can undo that hose. Let's go around the other side. And I've got this hose here. And there we are. Right, so with those 6 bolts and those 2 hoses undone, we should be able to pull the entire lot out. Ah yes, I forgot, there is one connector. And you can see there's one small lead going down to this white connector here, which we do have to unplug. There he goes. And then with that wiring connector undone, and then the whole lot just lifts out in one go. And now we've got a bit more access, but we need to pull this panel out here. So we've got one of these horrible clips, crosshead screwdriver clips, and we've got 2 4mm Allen head bolts. So to get these ones out, you've got to turn the inside, but make sure the outside doesn't turn, and then it will gradually walk out. And then we've got the 2 4mm either end. Like I say, if you can get your hand in there and get that lot undone, then you don't need to do any of this, but I certainly can't, so that's why I'm undoing all this. There's one, we'll get number 2. There's number 2. Before I go any further, I'm going to get a cloth and cover up the throttle bodies, because we don't want to drop anything like that into there and into the engine. Okay, with those throttle bodies covered up and this little piece of bodywork removed, this panel will now, he says, pull out. There you go. One thing I should say is you have to do this if you want to change the stator, because you can see this is the stator wiring here and it's on this clip. And well, like I say, good luck to you for getting into any of this with all this assembled. So got the throttle bodies covered up, so now we can start messing around with all this lot, and we're not going to drop anything into the engine. So I need to get that clip undone. Come on, there we go. And it's just a standard wiring connector, he says. Oh, that's going to be a pain. It's not going to come undone. No, okay. I'll undo those two 10mm first and lift this out, because these are still not coming undone. Go, those two out, and now we can lift the regulator rectifier out. So now we should be able to push down on the release tab. Is it push down or pull up? No, it is a push down release. Why is that not coming undone? There's one. God, bloody hell, that is not coming undone at all. No. Right, give me a minute. There, that's it, that's moving now. There we go. Oh, gotcha. One regulator rectifier removed. Right, so with that removed, we can now release this wiring. There's a little cable tie there that's holding it on, so we'll snip him off and we can release all of that wiring and get it down and out of the side of the bike. Done. So there we go, that's the wiring released. Now, if you were just replacing the regulator rectifier, obviously you'd just be putting everything back together again now. But because we're changing the stator coil, this is the wiring to the stator coil. So we've got to release that. So now we've got to take this panel off, take off this crash bung. You might not have the crash bung on your bike, but we've got to take this panel off, got to take everything off, because underneath that cover down there is where the stator is. Right, so taking this fairing off, majority of the fasteners are twist, and that's it, they're undone. Okay, I say the majority of them because there are a couple, I don't know if we've got to take, oh yeah, we do have to loosen off this lower, but the vast majority of these are just these like Zeus clip kind of half twist, and away you go. This one here is actually attached to the bike, so you need to undo that one, and I think that's about your lot. There's a couple of those little black push pins here and there as well, but the vast majority of it, ooh, that's handy on a gravel drive. Yeah, the vast majority of it is just these Zeus type fasteners, and once they're out, see the fairing's starting to come away already. So we'll get that removed. There we go, we'll get that removed. There's a couple of, like I say, black push pins up underneath there. And then once we've got that removed, we can start getting this crash protection removed. Okay, so you join us back a couple of minutes later. We've taken this fairing panel off. We've just released the belly pan off its mounts here and here and here. So we've got clear access now to the stator cover. There was also a bracket on here with a crash bar and what have you. So that's the reason why some of these bolts are missing already. But basically what we want to do is we want to get all of these bolts out. And then we can get the stator coil, which is immediately behind here, out. So what we're going to do, this is, if you remember from before, going up to our regulator rectifier. So what we need to do is come inside and just work out where that wiring goes. It's just there. And so we're going to release that from the frame first. The reason why we release that now is just to make life easier for ourselves. Then, like I say, we've only got 3 bolts left on this cover. There should be all these ones, but these ones were part of the crash bung. So we'll release these. The good thing about these, the location of these stators, is they're nice and high in the engine, so when you take this cover off, you shouldn't get any oil dripping out. What we will do is, before we release it completely, I'm going to get a cloth and just tuck it under here, just in case any drips do come out, because I'm sure there's going to be some oil. But that's all loose now, that's all loose now, and that's all loose now. So we can get rid of all these bolts. They're 2 different sizes, but they're all the same length, so you can't really go wrong with these, because if you look, they're 2 different thicknesses, but they're all the same length. So you can't put that bolt in that hole, it can only go in that hole. And you can't put, if you put that bolt in that hole, it's just not going to fit. Okay, so with our cloths in place, we're just going to try wrestling this. Oh, yeah, there we go. Wrestling this out now. You've got to be very careful taking these out, because if you look inside there, you will see that is the starter clutch gear that's just fallen apart. So here's your stator coil. Which to me looks like it's got some serious damage on it. You see all this is falling apart? Right, I think we've got a bigger problem here than it just not running right. Okay. So behind this gear there are 2 washers, and what you must not allow them to do is fall down into this hole, because then you're into a world of hurt. I just heard one of them go. There's one of them gone. There they are. You see those 2 washers? There's a washer there, and then there's a spacer there. And that, like I say, you must not let them fall down into that cavity. If they fall down into that cavity, you're in big trouble. So we've got those 2 out. This in here is the stator. This is the flywheel, and I think the flywheel has detonated itself. Looking at that. Right, let's get out to the back of the van, we'll get it apart. I think we've got bigger issues here. Oh, come on, you bugger. Right, yeah, I think this is a generator explosion. Yep, there you go. Look at the state of that. So, it's well documented, these Yamahas. The generators, or the flywheels I should say, explode. They just literally fall apart. Now, I have not brought a flywheel with me. I've brought a replacement stator coil and I've bought a replacement regulator rectifier. But this is our issue because all of this material here should be inside there. So, right. I think we're going to have to go and have a chat with the customer and say, we've found your issue and it's not what we thought it was. Right, so yep, generator explosion on this one. It's quite a common thing on the R1s and the FZ1s as well. So what we're going to have to do is we have to order that part up. In the meantime, we'll take this stator off because this stator is going to be knackered from having that scraping against it. So we'll take the stator off, we'll put the cover back on the bike and do the bike up as best we can. Obviously there's no point in putting it all back together again, and there's no point in filming that, because hopefully we'll be able to come back here and film the refitting of the correct parts, well, not the correct parts, the new parts, on a later video. So let us know in the comments, has this happened to you? Have you seen this before? Like I say, I know it is a bit of a common failure point on these bikes and the FZ1s. So yeah, we're going to have to get that new generator fitted on this one. Anyway, remember to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you again on the next video.